Thank you for tuning in to the Blue Stocking Solutions podcast. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Blue Stocking Solutions podcast. I have another awesome guest, Shane. Good morning, Shane.
Good morning.
Yes, it is morning for us. I know when you listen to this podcast, it may not be morning for you, but that's okay. So I want to introduce her. She is an attorney, correct?
Yes.
Cool. And we actually met on LinkedIn, which is pretty cool. Never met in person, so this is actually pretty awesome. Just happened to be connected there, and I saw what she's doing out here in Vegas, and I was like, I would love to have her on the show and kind of pick her brain about being a business owner out here in Vegas, also being an attorney out here in Vegas, and what things you deal with. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me, and it's nice to connect with you. LinkedIn has been a great resource for making really, really awesome connections. So I'm glad that we had that opportunity. But yeah, as far as a little bit of background, I'm almost native to Las Vegas. My family moved here when I was almost 10. So I pretty much grew up here, went to high school here. I went away to college. When I graduated from high school, I went to Pepperdine University in Malibu and
My
graduated.
parents went there.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
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 crazy.
so cool. Yeah, yeah. So I loved it. I had a really, really good experience there. I got my bachelor's in business administration, and I had planned to go right into law school right after I graduated. I was going to go to Pepperdine's law school, but my last semester, my husband and I, were actually high school sweethearts, we found out that I was pregnant with twins. So they
Congratulations
were,
on that.
yeah, thanks. So they were born that August, and I took a year off from school and everything. I stayed home with them, and I started law school on their first birthday here in Las Vegas at the Boyd School of Law, and which was it was good to be home in Vegas, to be able to go to school here and also have the support of both sides of our family. So, when they say it takes a village, that saying is really, really true. Because without the support of my husband, obviously my husband and I together, and then the extended support of our family, it would have been really challenging to be able to go to law school and graduate and then go on to being an attorney. So I graduated in December of 2004, and I took the bar that following February, and I passed, thankfully. And I
Congratulations on
was,
that.
yeah, thanks. And then I worked for a big firm that's based in Phoenix, but has an office here in Las Vegas. Snell and Wilmer is the name of the firm. And I also worked for another big firm, Ballard Spahr, and they're based in Philadelphia. So I worked in the private practice with those two law firms for my first 10 years. And then I went into an in-house position as the general counsel for a financial services company here in Las Vegas. And I worked there for 2.5 years before starting my own firm last year. So July, it'll actually be a year since we opened the firm.
That's an amazing story. So now let's dig deep more into your life. So my next question is, how do you manage work life? Because you have a family, you have 2 kids, you have a husband, you have your business that you just started a year ago. Like, how do you manage all that stuff?
Right. Well, I actually have 5 kids.
Oh my
So,
gosh. Correction,
yeah,
5 children.
yeah, 5 kids. So my oldest are the twins that I mentioned, and they are 17. They'll be 18 in August. And then I have 3 younger ones that are 10, 8, and 7, and they're all girls. So I've got 5 daughters.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
How do you manage
Yeah.
all that with work and five
Oh,
women that you're raising?
you know, it can be a little overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie. It's a lot. It's a lot to to handle sometimes. But like I said, I have a lot of support. My husband is awesome. He's very involved with respect to the business and also our household. It really does take a true partner to be able to manage everything that goes on, in our lives with our children and working together. And we also have a financial services business as well that we do together. He heads that up. And so it's really just being able to try to make sure that the right people are doing the right things, managing my time in the best way that I can. So one of the things that I do is, and I've done it forever, is to-do lists. So if I write it down or I type up a list, I make sure, I'm accountable to it. So that helps me really stay focused and not get overwhelmed when I break things down into smaller, bite-size pieces. It doesn't feel like it's so much all at one time. So
Your
that's
lists
one
are
of the
great.
things.
I love lists.
Yes, yes. And I get the satisfaction of, I love crossing things off my list.
Best feeling
So
ever.
yeah, yeah, right. So I do that. And then I've also instituted time blocking on my calendar. So I use my calendar basically to keep me on track for everything, whether it's business appointments, school events for my kids, doctor's appointments. I put everything on my calendar because otherwise I'm prone to forget. So I calendar things, and then I also time block where I will block off periods, chunks of time on my calendar to focus on certain things that I need to get done. So on certain days, I block off hours for marketing with respect to my firm. I block off time for client meetings and client work, and then also, business planning, strategy, networking. I block off time so that I make sure that I am allocating time to the things that are important and I can prioritize them accordingly.
No, that makes total sense. My next question for you is, what is your biggest high and your greatest win in life and in business?
Oh my gosh. That's a good question. Um, so, and just so the audience knows out here, he didn't give me any pre-planned
Yeah, I never
questions.
do
So
that. I like to just hit you with it.
even
I want to be
yeah,
authentic.
this is like off the cuff stuff here. So even though I asked for questions if he had any, he was like, no, we're gonna, we'll just go talk about your business and everything will be cool. So all right, so
Don't
biggest
tell all my
high.
secrets.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay, so biggest high, I uh, I would say I can't really pinpoint one thing. I think that I've had a lot of things that, as far as accomplishments in my life, that contribute to kind of motivating me to the next step. I don't feel like I've hit that high yet. So, um, but a couple of things I would say, like number one is really just watching my daughters grow on the personal side. So it's watching my daughters grow into the young, beautiful adults that they are, my oldest ones, and then my youngest ones that are coming up, and seeing them accomplish things that I wasn't even accomplishing at their age. So it makes me proud as their mother to see that they're taking on, they have their own path that they're living. They're doing things beyond, even my expectations. My oldest ones they go to Gorman High School and they've played basketball competitively for the past several years. So, now they're in the stage where they're getting recruited by colleges to play basketball, but it's not just to play basketball. They're actually really great students. So they're looking at, top tier educational institutions. And to me, that's just such it's just such an awesome experience to watch them go through that and see the opportunities that they have that I didn't even have, my husband didn't have, when we were their age, and looking forward to seeing them go far, further and beyond anything that we've ever accomplished. So I think, as far as the personal side, it would be watching my children grow and continue to be successful throughout their lives. And on the personal side, I would I would say really just starting my own firm, which was a scary thing at first because I didn't go from a law firm where I had a book of business or established clients that were coming with me. I went from an in-house position and opened my firm. So I started from scratch. I had zero clients when I opened my firm. So as you can imagine, when you've got a family and you're used to a stable income, for so many years, to go from that to, okay, let's see how we're going to make this work. And then really like getting our hands dirty and building it from the ground up, and then seeing the success that we've had just within this first year has been really one of the best and most fulfilling experiences professionally for me, and being able to really do something that I'm passionate about and be the type of lawyer that I really want to be and serve clients in a way that I've never been able to serve them before. That has to be the most fulfilling thing for me on a professional level, I'd say, up to this point.
Wow, that is very inspirational there. My next question for you is, what are you struggling with now, and what was difficult for you in the past?
Okay. So what was difficult for me in the past, I would say, is trying to take on everything myself. So I think it was a matter of control, where I felt like I needed to do everything so that I could have things done the way that I wanted them to be done. And it was a matter of control. And I had a hard time letting certain things go. But as I opened my business and started with the law firm, it's in my nature to kind of take a lot on, but I realized that I would not be successful and my firm would not be successful if I continued to do that. So I've learned how to delegate. I've learned how to hire people to do things that I don't necessarily need to do. And one of the lessons that I've learned, and thankfully I've learned it early on in my law firm, my own law firm practice, is that my most valuable asset is not money, it's time. So that's where I had a struggle before was, okay, I'm just starting out my business. I don't want to spend all this money. This is a cost. I'm trying to save money, try to save on the costs and do a lot of work myself. But but was able to realize that that was not a smart business decision for me, and to look at it from the perspective of this is an investment. So it's not just a cost or an expense that you'll never recoup. It's an investment that you're putting up front that will allow you to be able to build the business and be successful, with time, and making these investments early on is what really can help you turn the corner a lot faster than if you're trying to save money and do everything yourself.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's some really good breakdowns there. The next question for you is, what questions should one be asking if one wants to start a journey like yours?
What question should one be asking of oneself or of someone else?
Yeah, what questions does someone ask of themselves if they want to start a journey like yours?
Okay, so I would say number one, ask yourself really what is it that you want to do? What is it that makes you happy? What are you passionate about? Get clear on that so that you have a good foundation for being able to build your business from there. Um, I'd also ask yourself, what are your goals? Set goals for the short term and the long term. Where do you see yourself? Where do you see your business going? What type of business is it that you want to have? What are your values? What's your mission? All of those things really should be set before you go off and jump into just starting a business. You really want to be clear on what's your purpose, what values are important to you as an individual, as a business owner. What type of services do you want to provide? In what manner are you providing those services? Where do you see yourself? Where do you see your business in a year, or 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? What's your exit plan for for the business? Are you planning to conduct your business long term, or would you want to sell it? And if so, what does that look like? So really just planning, and not just thinking about things, but actually writing down. Writing down and putting things in writing is such a powerful exercise. And I found that it's helped me really make the intangible tangible, so that I can actually see what it is and go for it and know that I'm actually making progress, even though some things take time. Some things are going to take, years to accomplish. But as long as you have it in front of you and you can see it and you can see where you're going and you can see the progress that you're making, it's worthwhile.
Very, very true. My next question for you is, how did you handle competitors offering lower prices, constant discounts, as is common in your space?
Right. Well, that's a constant struggle, because in estate planning in particular, um, there are a host of other services or service providers that someone can go to, and they can be really inexpensive, like the online types of services, or even other attorneys that kind of run a mill type of law firm where they're just getting clients in. They're not establishing relationships. They're just doing form documents and then sending clients on their way. So what I've done with my estate planning in particular is that I've set up my practice to make sure that I actually fill the holes that the other traditional law firm or even the online model leaves open. So a lot of times people don't realize that by going, you really get what you pay for. Um, and if someone's charging you $500, $99, $1,000 for what is supposed to be a comprehensive estate plan, they're not providing all of the services that you probably need, as far as an estate plan is concerned. So with all of the planning that I do, I include at no additional cost for families that have minor children. I include a kids protection plan so that if anything were to happen to you or the parents of the family, then the children who are under 18 would never be taken out of your home. They'd be in the care of the family or friends that the parents actually choose, and not, the state or the authorities. So a lot of times with planning, if someone does have an estate plan in place, they may have a will, for example, and in the will they may name a guardian, but that will actually wouldn't go into effect if there was no death involved. So, for example, if the couple or the parent was in an accident and just incapacitated and couldn't care for his or her child or children, that guardianship nomination would not come into effect. And so, in that type of situation, what would most likely happen is you might have to go through the court process to actually have someone appointed. And it may not be the person that you would have wanted appointed in that situation. So just making sure that guardians are nominated in the proper way, not just in a will. And then that there are backups. So just in case the initial or primary guardian is not available, making sure we have short-term and long-term guardians appointed, giving them the proper legal authority to do so and instructions. All of that is included in the kids protection plan that I include with all of my estate plans. So we do that. We make sure that if anything were to happen to you, that your healthcare decisions are made by the people that you want in the way that you want. Also, if you weren't able to make financial decisions for yourself, making sure that we appoint the people that you want, and give them the appropriate access to be able to handle your financial affairs in the event that you're not able to. And then also, of course, we do the estate planning for, in the event of your death, making sure that your assets go to the people that you want in the way that you want. Also, a lot of times, and this is another thing that's common with people that don't know much about estate planning, is that sometimes people think that if they have a will, that their estate plan is taken care of, and everything will go, for example, to my kids, and, no problem. The disposition is there, and I don't need to worry about anything else. Well, people don't realize that if you have assets over a certain limit, your family will actually have to go through probate, which is a court process. Um, and there are ways to bypass that process, but you have to have the proper planning in place to be able to do that. So that's another thing, is just a lot of misinformation or misconception. So one of the ways that I differentiate my practice, in addition to doing the comprehensive planning that basically goes through all of the options, making sure that clients are aware of what choices they can make, and we don't just rely on the default and let other people make decisions for us, when of course that wouldn't be what we wanted in the first place. But it's important to be able to educate people, and that's what I do in my family wealth planning session. Is I go through, and it's a private session, I go through with the client or potential client and tell them exactly what would happen to their assets, to their family, their children, if they have minor children, if something happened to them today. And that way we walk through the scenarios. They tell me what's important to them, what their priorities are. And that way we can actually address all of those concerns, instead of me just filling out some forms and handing them to the client, and hoping that they work when their family needs it to. A lot of times I see clients that come in that their family member has passed away, and now they're dealing with the after effects of the administration or an estate that has had to go through probate. And it's not a fun experience if the planning has not been done properly. So that's why I focus a lot on making sure that my clients have plans that will actually work when their family needs it to, and that all of the bases are covered.
Wow, you are very thorough. I like that.
That was a long-winded answer.
No, that was a great answer. Like, I'm all like, man, I need to start thinking about that myself. I'm all like, dang, am I even doing that? Okay,
Yeah.
My next question for you is,
Yeah.
why were you so successful in a niche where many others have failed?
I think it kind of piggybacks off of what we were just talking about, where I
You're
do
very
things
detailed.
differently. So I take a different approach than most attorneys, and you might have noticed that just by our conversation. I don't try to make things overly complicated or complex. I think it's my job to really simplify things for
Which
clients,
is
and for
amazing.
people that, yeah, for people that I'm talking to, because I want you to be able to get what it is that you need. And if I make things confusing, then you're not gonna benefit from that. So I think that's really one of the things that makes me as an attorney and my law firm a lot different than others, is that I really put an emphasis on education, like I said, and also building client relationships. So whereas other attorneys in this area may focus solely on documents, providing legal documents, which obviously is part of what I do, but it's not the sole focus. I'm making sure that I actually understand the clients and their needs to be able to give them what it is that they actually want and need and will work for their families. So I really focus on building those relationships with clients, and instead of just doing legal documents and then sending them on their way, I really see it as the beginning of a relationship where, yes, I'm going to prepare your estate plan, but after your plan is completed, I still want to continue that relationship, so that if anything happens, whether it's related to estate planning or not, I want clients to be able to reach out to me and have access, at least to run questions by me, to be able to for me to be able to put them in touch with resources that they may need. And that's what I found, that ability and that access is really, really valuable to clients that may not otherwise have access to an attorney, and those sorts of resources. So, and that's another thing that I do as far as the estate planning. Um, I include, with all of my planning, I include a complimentary review every 3 years, where clients are invited to come in, we'll review their current estate plan that we have in place. And if updates need to be made, then we're making sure that we make updates as appropriate. That's another mistake that a lot of people make is, they cross estate planning off their list and then they don't think about it again for years, when really your estate plan is something that is it's a living document or documents that need to be reviewed and updated regularly, because your life changes, the law changes, and you want to make sure that as those things change and evolve, that your estate plan is kept up to date to be able to handle whatever those events or changes might be.
No, it's very, very true. My next question for you is, what do you think can't be replicated easily about your business?
What can't be replicated easily? I think it's that connection that I'm able to have with clients. That's something that you can't teach, really. You either have it or you don't. And I've known a lot of really, really smart attorneys, really successful law firms. I've worked in big law firms where I've seen that disconnect, where you're able to provide a great legal service, but the counseling aspect is not there. And that's what a lot of times clients need, is they need to be counseled or coached through certain situations, or just questions that they might have. And it's important to not just be an attorney in the legal sense, but also a counselor that is able to provide guidance and really provide options for clients instead of just answers sometimes, or the natural instinct to tell the client what it is that they need, instead of really asking the questions and finding out what really is important to the client.
No, that's very true. My next question is, what is critical to get right in your line of business to avoid wasting time and money?
Can you repeat the question? It cut out just at the beginning.
Oh, no problem. What is critical to get right in your line of business to avoid to avoid wasting time and money?
What's critical, right? Oh, to get right. Mm-hmm. It's critical when you're starting your business to make sure that you have all of your structures in place. So, and that's legal, your legal structure, your insurance, your tax structure, and also your financial structure. So on the business side, when I do business planning for clients, I actually do what's called a LIFT assessment or LIFT audit. And so LIFT stands for legal, insurance, financial, and tax systems, where I'll actually review, if it's a client that has an existing business, I'll review those structures for them and provide them guidance on, holes that they may have in their foundation, areas of concern, potential risk or exposure that they currently have, and ways to really be able to build and grow their business the way that they want. So I think just making sure that you have the proper foundation. So, and it starts with the legal, setting up your business. How are you setting it up? What type of legal structure are you using? What type of licensing is it that you need, if you need any? Making sure you have the proper agreements in place, including an operating agreement, setting up your bank accounts, your, tax ID number. All of those things are part of your legal structure that go into setting the groundwork really for your business. And you want to make sure that it's strong and it's sound to be able to withstand as your business grows, so that your business actually can be successful, you can be profitable, and also you can minimize or mitigate, risk, so that you're not exposed to losing your business, and much more, as far as your personal assets being lost or subject to judgment and that sort of thing.
Which is very scary when you're a new business owner, if you don't understand those jewels. That's what I call them on the show. Like, call them jewels, like having those things that you need to get your business on the right track. Leads me to our next question. What are some good and bad examples of people you've seen in your line of work that they just kind of be overzealous and make bad decisions? Like what is some good stuff they've done, some bad stuff that you've seen?
Well, I'll start with the good stuff. The good stuff that I've seen in private practice when I worked at the two law firms that I worked at, I was able to really see great attorneys at work, especially on the litigation side. I worked with a few really, really great trial attorneys, and seeing them go into court and advocating for their clients, being passionate about what they did really was inspiring to me to be able to see that and learn from that. There was one partner at Snell and Wilmer. He's the administrative partner, Patrick Byrne, and he was a mentor to me when I first started as an attorney. And just to see the way that his mind worked, he let me in on, how he would strategize about certain things, whether it was, a litigation case, or it could have been just a general business matter where he was advising a client, on a transactional type of thing. And being able to see how he communicated with clients, the way that he really strategized and thought things through, and even just seeing how he wrote, like learning how he phrased things and that sort of thing. I was able to learn from really, really great attorneys in that sense. On the bad side, I would say, of course, none of the attorneys at the firms that I worked at, but other attorneys in the city, I've seen them go into court, for example, and be completely unprepared, and not in a position to truly advocate for their clients. That was really saddening to me to see that. I continue to see attorneys that, what we've kind of talked about a little bit already, where they are solely focused on addressing one issue that a client might bring instead of looking at the bigger picture, and focusing on one thing, preparing a document or a set of documents and not really understanding their true, the true set of circumstances at hand. And so I feel that really does the clients a disservice, because the clients aren't even aware sometimes of really what bigger issues might be lurking underneath if you just dig a little bit deeper. So that's why I like to, like I said, I take a holistic approach where I really try to get all of, the pertinent information about my clients and what they're trying to do, what their goals are, what their visions are, so that I can provide the best counsel and guidance to them.
Very true. So my next question is, when should somebody call an expert like yourself for their small business?
For their small business, I would say when you know that you want to set up a business, and even if you don't have anything really formally set up, it's good to reach out and talk to someone that can guide you through the process so that you're not wasting your time or spinning your wheels on things that, you may not need to at that point. But I would say, get like we talked about before, get a really clear understanding of what it is that you want to do, what's going to make you happy, where you see yourself, what type of services you're providing, all of those types of things, where you want to be in the future with your business and that sort of thing. Get real clear on those things so that when you do reach out to an attorney or, a professional that can guide you through it, you already have a good sense of those types of things so that they can really point you in the right direction and give you the best guidance that they can, so that you can really set everything up the best way from the beginning.
Makes total sense. What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that makes you so successful?
Superpower?
Yeah, Wonder Woman over here.
Yeah, it's funny because that's what my friends, some of my friends and family call me Call me Wonder Woman. And that is my favorite superhero, by the way. So I take that as a
Great
huge
movie, right?
compliment. Yes. But I think it is, I'm able to sometimes just take a step back and remind myself to breathe, you know, focus, and just get after what it is that I'm trying to achieve. So I set goals, and it can be a daily thing. I set goals long term, of course, but I also set daily goals. Like, okay, today this is what I'm going to knock out, and I also incorporate into that not just work, of course, but time with my family. I also spend not a lot of time, but I make sure that it's that I dedicate time to working out. So that's what really helps me continue to feel energized and feel good about myself. And I do a variety of things. I go to hot yoga, and that's good for me, like mentally and physically, because I'm able to reset my mind when I go there. And I try to do that at least once a week.
Yeah,
I
Bikram
also
is
play.
great.
Yes, I love it. And so I do hot yoga. I'll go for a run, like a 2 or 3 mile run, every so often. I play basketball. I play on a women's league,
What position do you
um,
play?
guard.
Wow,
So yeah,
that
I'm
is
not
not
very
easy.
big. Yeah. And that's a fun thing that I do too, is in the women's league that I play on, um, my husband is actually the coach, and then my oldest daughters have been playing on my team since they were 12. So when they first started, of course, playing with women, they weren't up to the same skill level, but now they're like the best players on the team. So that's fun. And then one of my teammates actually started um, a professional women's team here in Las Vegas. That's the Las Vegas Gems, and my husband is coaching that, and I play with them as well. So we actually have a game tomorrow. Sorry, Saturday, June 2nd. If for anyone in the community that wants to come out and support, it's at the Doula Gym at 5 o'clock.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. My next question for you is: are there any tools or books that have really helped you on your journey?
Tools or books? Um, I'm constantly reading articles online. Um, I have a few different books. I mean, mainly the books that I've been reading recently are on estate planning in particular and business planning. Um, but I'm trying to think if there's one that has stood out. Um, One's not jumping out at me now, but yeah, I think education is really important. So making sure, obviously, no matter how educated you are, how many degrees you have, how many years you've been in practice, you should constantly be open to learning and expanding, um, your knowledge base, because obviously you can't know everything. So I think that a major tool is just having that open mind to be able um, to be open to learning more, whether it's from learning from other people and their experiences, and connecting and talking to people, or reading, doing research on your own. There's so many ways that you can really feed your brain and your mind to continue to have that education and knowledge growing as you continue on through life.
Yeah, that makes total sense. What is the best tip you can tell someone that's struggling to start their own company?
A tip for somebody that's struggling to
Start
start
their
their
own
own
business. Yeah,
company.
like that. They have a really good idea, but they just don't know how to get it out.
Yeah, I think that sometimes people just don't know where to start, and they find, there's just either a mental block, or they just feel like there's a wall in front of them. And my advice is to call someone, call an attorney, or call me.
There you go.
And and ask questions, say like, look, this is my idea, I don't really know where to go from here. Because someone who has the knowledge can guide you through that process and make something that feels completely unachievable or overwhelming a lot simpler. Where I can break down the steps. Okay, this is what if this is what you want to do, this is what you've got to focus on, and these are the steps that you need to take. So I'm able to break that down for clients and make it a much more manageable process.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And talking about people contact you, my last question for you is, please let the audience know how they can find you, they can reach you, and just overall connect with you if they have any business questions and whatnot.
Yes, absolutely. Please do reach out. My office phone number is 702-835-9212, 702-835-9212. My email address is Shane, SHANE, at Young, YOUNG, Law, LAWNV.com. So Shane at younglawnv.com. I also have an Instagram page for my law firm. It's at Young Law Group. And then my Facebook business page is at Young Law NV.
It was such a pleasure to have you on. This is really cool. I never met you before. We met on LinkedIn and we had a really great conversation. So I just let you know that when you have like-minded individuals that are, doing something to help people and just to connect in the business world, the conversations are easy to have.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much. And once again, it was great having you on, and we are over and out. Thank you for listening to our podcast today. We look forward to connecting with you on our LinkedIn page. If you have business needs, just click the Become a Client button on the first page of our website, bluestocking.solutions. If you would like to be a guest on our podcast, please click the Contact Us link on our website. In order to be a success, your desire for success should be greater than your fear of failure.